You got to start with the normal one, but keep that in a drop
we
pouch.
have to go live is a bit of a stretch.
Well, you got to go live within 10 minutes of your scheduled start.
Oh, you do?
Does Facebook actually have this rule?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess. By the way, I do have a very slight amount of ringing in my ears now, so yay!
Yay, tinnitus!
That's just permanent
Didn't
hearing.
wake the baby up.
Saying hello.
No, don't worry, he's not sleeping yet. I was just curious as to what happened with Ian, if that would happen.
That would be a very difficult moment for all of us.
A lot of questions happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
You good to go?
Shall we, folks? Oh, there's the blemish. I was wondering what the fuck the blemish was on this thing. The rib is
It
ugly.
was sold as a blemish one? Or...
Yeah, this one's one of the blem ones, and it's just the rib is ugly. Adriel, just hit play. I don't fucking care.
Yeah, I hit the play button.
Okay. Wait. Oh, there we are. I see us.
Do you? Oh, yes, we are live. Welcome to the Canada Guns Talk Show episode. What the fuck episode is it? Episode 110. Summer is here. Pew pew pew. We're your hosts, us fuckers. I'm crazy. Who are the rest of you?
You know the guy that does the hunting shit, and then you know the guy who does the law shit, and then I just do the internet shit, I guess. Is that what I do? I don't know what I do.
You do the gun training shit too now, don't you?
Oh, there you go. I'm a safety instructor.
So we've been getting people complaining that we don't have enough class in this program, so I'm doing the classiest thing imaginable and drinking my Calvados straight from the bottle.
I applaud you.
You came here expecting anything less than this, you're in the wrong place.
This has been the wrong place for like a couple of years now. Oh, God. Okay, how do I get this stupid freaking chat to show up?
All right, so has anyone actually done, and I haven't, it's been illegal for me to do anything since the last one because of fucking idiot premier shut the goddamn ranges down because he's a fucking moron, and literally every doctor in the province has been telling him, you're a fucking idiot, why did you do this? And he's just like, nope, I'm going to keep doing it. So I haven't done anything. What about the rest of you?
Can you tell us how you really feel first?
Yeah, fuck Doug Ford
There you go.
with a rusty spoon up the ass. Yeah.
That's pretty much it, I think. Right? Yeah. Okay.
No, the only thing is the red shirt for my pistol came in. It's on really shitty paper now.
Oh,
Like
you got
cheap
one of the
LCP.
you got one of the 8x11 letter.
Yep.
Yeah. Adriel's got one of those, and I got one of those as well. But
I
speaking
got
about
new
Adriel,
certs in.
yeah, Adriel, you go.
I go? All right.
You go.
Yeah, I got all the real certs in, so all the nice cardstock ones. They ended up reprinting a bunch of mine, so they must have had a problem with their printer, and they just didn't want to talk about. Anyways, that's old news. That's old news. How about a little baby Mosin?
Oh,
Look at this little baby Mosin. It's so small.
I've seen those things so many times, and all I can think of is, why do they cost like $600?
Limited run. Limited number of people who are buying these.
were they actually a limited run?
Well, like, how many people are going to buy a rifle like this? Okay, so, like, Norinco has a Mauser lookalike, but it's not really done that well. It doesn't have, like, a walnut stock on it with nice little, like, stock inlays and that kind of thing. So, it's not going to be as much. So, like, the Norinco Mauser thing is cheaper. This is made in the U.S., and it's a wood stock. It's going to be more
It doesn't
expensive.
even come with a little mini cleaning rod or a mini bayonet. God, not even worth the money.
Jeez. Well, you could just, get your handy. There we go. Just tape your X-Acto blade on there, right?
Adriel, can you zoom in on that blade? I can't quite tell what it says. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you get one of those. Anyways, it's a single shot. One little baby 22 at a time. I just put a video on this thing out
Hold on
today.
a second. Hey, Ian, would that be considered a replica firearm?
No, it's a firearm.
No, because it's a firearm.
Okay.
I think that actually shoots, so we're good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's super lightweight. You could like this. This is 2.5 pounds.
Ooh.
like
Would you say it is light enough to be designed to be aimed and fired through the use of only one hand?
Quiet
very
now.
easy, very easy. Don't answer that. I advise you. Do not answer
Don't make
that.
trouble.
Yeah.
You're asking bad questions. Stop it.
Oh, I got my.
The thing of, don't you go ask the RCMP at that. Just shut up.
Yeah,
I don't
no.
ask them anything.
Well, every once in a while, somebody's like, "Let's send the RCMP lab a question," and I'm like, "Don't."
I
We'd still be able to make our own firearms if you people.
Yeah, I got a Maple Ridge Armory Maverick in 6.5 Creedmoor, but it's in my safe and I don't feel like getting it. And I did a bunch of pistol videos and optics videos, and I've got another pistol one coming out.
But you had a comparison video, right? Like that was like a very well made comparison between like a couple of old pistols.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did put out my comparison video on the P226 versus Beretta 92.
Sorry, you misspoke. I thought you meant the Dolphin Killer versus the Nakatomi Plaza pistol.
The Dolphin Killer, yeah. Dolphin Slayer, yeah. Got that one out, and I caught a couple people in it so far, but
yeah,
it'll have to wait. That one. So what has to happen is that one needs to rank in YouTube, and people need to land on it without knowing me, and then I'll get some spicy comments on that one. Right now, there's too many people who know me and know it was a joke. So
I am disappointed that you did not have an appropriate ballistic comparison of the dolphin killing capabilities of 9mm versus 357 SIG. Since you mentioned at the end that 357 SIG is better at killing dolphins, I expect a proper comparison of the two.
See, now I've been trying to experiment with ballistic gel, and I've been thinking I need to make various models. I'm thinking I need to make now a full dolphin model.
Oh. Okay, I got you. I literally just figured it out.
So I can cast like a full-size dolphin.
You don't even need to get that creative. All you need is an inflatable dolphin that you cut the nose off and then you just fill it up.
That's actually really clever. I like that. So
they don't pay me.
Maybe we'll have to have a test of the ballistics on dolphins.
Dolphins. Gotta do it. Other than that, did a couple maple seeds, but those are shut down for May. Maybe we'll start them again in June again here. And I don't know. I'm gonna sell a bunch of guns. Oh, go to my website if you want to buy some guns. I got some guns.
Oh yeah. He's got a good deal in a WK. If I literally hadn't bought one, I would have probably bought that one.
Yeah. And I've already sold a couple off the list. And
yeah.
I priced them to move. I think I priced
them.
You
did. Like that WK, if it hasn't moved soon, it will.
I you know what? I'm a big snowflake. I need my safe space. I don't have enough safe space.
That's good. I'll take it.
Yeah. That's it for me. Oh, I got a postage scale so I can like really super accurately measure the weight of guns rather than using like the hodgepodge of kitchen scales or fish scales that I've been using.
Or you know what I do is just get on my scale and then first of all get depressed at my weight, then put on the gun.
Yeah, but then you have to know how fat you are.
Yeah, that's what I just said. It's like, dude, I broke 200 pounds again. I'm not stoked about that at all.
I think I broke 200 pounds about 8 years ago and haven't gone under since.
Blame COVID.
Yeah, there you go. What else did you do though? You had you did all the you did say about that. You talked about the optic comparisons and
a bunch of other nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah. Ian, you've been busy, right?
A little bit. One of those maple seeds I was at.
What?
So I did the maple seed. That was fun. Did not get the patch, although I had a brief moment where doing it on 3 hours of sleep made me do math badly. But I plan to go back, so gonna keep trying on that one. But I learned a tremendous amount, and that was with Adriel, so great time. And I also
you don't have to be that generous. You don't have to be that generous. You can be honest here.
I am being honest. It was great. So.
That's the way, Adriel.
No, it's not that. You're using your laptop, Mike.
Yeah.
Bought a new toy.
Ooh, nice. Very long.
Yes, it is the ridiculously long version of the Luger, but yeah, took it out. It shoots great. It's fun. I mean, as much as it is a historical sort of curiosity, it's certifies the time that somebody shot a Nazi in the face and took his gun, which is always a good thing to celebrate. Yeah, no, I'm not one of the guys who's gonna just keep it as a safe piece. Much as I know that will probably offend some people, but yeah,
screw
I've
those
taken
people.
it out. Oh, exactly. I've taken it out shooting. It shoots great, so it'll be back at the range next time I'm out there. Which, unfortunately, the downside of all of that is my swipe card is having some difficulties, and I think they're sending me a new one. But also, I forgot my keys to my safe while I was out there. And somebody found them and set them aside for me, and then somebody stole them. So that's an annoyance. So if that's you, kindly unsteal my keys, please. That would be much appreciated.
Do you have a backup like combo on your safe or anything like that?
No, the backup is going to be if I don't hear back within a couple of weeks, I'm going to, drill it out and replace the lock.
How fancy of a safe is it?
Super not fancy.
So pickable?
Possibly, although I'm not sure if I want to take the time to learn, and also I'm in Alberta. So all of the picks are regulated here because we have very dumb...
Wait, what?
Wait, really?
That's regulated here?
So yeah, in Alberta, there's rules that basically say if you're not a locksmith and you don't fall into certain exceptions, you can't have locksmithing tools, which includes lockpicks.
Bullshit. Yeah, I was like this close to like starting out like, maybe that lockpicking lawyer guy's got something going on.
Unfortunately, we have very dumb rules. I've actually contacted politicians to try to get that, changed. But of course, politics is super slow. But basically, from what I understand, what they wanted to do was they were hoping to crack down on shady, crappy, illegal locksmiths. Because if you go and you call a random number you get off the internet, what you might get is not a licensed locksmith, but you might actually get some guy who's just put out a bunch of ads and doesn't know what he's doing and will do a crap job for way too much money. Those guys are competing with legitimate locksmiths, and of course the locksmiths don't like that, and it doesn't help anybody. The problem is that this law has done nothing to stop that, so they are like...
Criminals don't use lockpicks. They're like, why would you use a lockpick when you
I think what he's saying, Adriel, is that the shitty locksmiths are still out there. Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah,
I don't care that there's shitty locksmiths out there. Doesn't bother me.
It's fake locksmiths. I mean, it is a problem, but
locksmiths.
This law isn't solving it.
Those certified locksmiths just took like some crappy little course. What do they know?
Fair enough. Well, regardless,
how is it that radar detectors are legal in Alberta, but lockpicks are not?
We can also have body armor.
You can have body armor here, but you can't have radar detectors. But we can have lockpicks.
That is so bizarre.
Yeah.
No. Listen to your own advice. Where's your pen full of duct tape? By the way, I actually use your talk about the best tool that you will ever have when talking to police in my PAL courses.
Well, it's a useful thing, right? Because
it really is. And I have a couple of stories to mention to you regarding that kind of conversation that people have had with police officers and firearms. But keep going, Ian.
Well, I mean, so on the lock picking thing, that's probably not going to happen. And even if I had the picks, teaching myself to use them would probably be not cost effective versus just calling somebody out there to just, it's not a great safe. So somebody could, rekey it in not too long.
Is it a Canadian Tire special?
Stack on?
Yeah, I'm actually thinking I may skip having it rekeyed and instead just go in and sawzall it open and replace it with a much better safe.
Hey, here's a video idea for you. You should do a how hard is it to get into a stack-on safe video. Just like completely have absolutely no knowledge on how to break into a safe and just have like a mallet, a chisel, and then a saw.
I'm already there.
With the Sawzall, you just use a crowbar. That metal is not strong. You crowbar in on the corner, and then reef it out, and it's not going to stop a crowbar at all. It's not even going to slow it down.
I'm just kind of thinking that might make a fun video just with like a stopwatch.
Yeah.
And just be like, hey, look, my arms are kind of noodle shaped. I am not, the biggest, strongest guy. My tool knowledge is mediocre. And I have very little breaking and entering experience. Let's go at the safe. And see
very,
how long this
very little.
Very little.
Not zero.
Not none, but very little.
I'm not going to provide any specifics here, but
Oh, I've got a story. Actually, I've got a story for you. I'm going to start taking notes about stories I want to share with you.
It starts with this one time at band camp.
No, it starts out with this one time at a Chinese place with really sketchy health tactics.
This one time back in Colombia.
No, this was in Calgary.
Anything else new, Ian?
other than that, still ongoing with my battle against the CFO. So on that, or not the CFO, rather the registrar on the Section 74 stuff. Actually, I have a court appearance on that tomorrow.
Woohoo!
So this is on the ongoing saga of what materials to present and cross-examination, which of course they don't want their person cross-examined. And all of this is going to be a giant headache, but it is what it is. I mean, this is the court process.
How can they say that they can't cross-examine their witness?
They're, without sort of going too far here, I think that a lot of their arguments are ones that I am skeptical of. And hopefully the court will be skeptical of as well. But, I mean...
Oh, like, they can't just say, like, oh, it'll jeopardize national security. And I was like,
Yeah, no, that's not so much it. They're basically saying, amongst other things, that it's irrelevant whether they got it wrong in terms of evaluating a firearm, which is one of those things that I think the court is probably going to roll their eyes at. I mean, I'm hoping, but yeah, we'll see, I guess, so that's happening tomorrow. It should be a lot of fun. I'm going to be, of course, appearing. Well, I don't know. Maybe I should go and appear in person for that one. I've been appearing remotely for the past ones. I've got a mask somewhere that has an LED thing on it that can come up with Runkle of the Bailey.
oh, do it.
The problem is I don't know where it is, and I couldn't order another one in time. So if I can find it, that would be amazing to show up and just, have flashing on the... That said, I suspect the judge might kind of be like, Runkle, can you knock that off? But that said, I mean, there's a lot to be said.
You can't have fun in court. Why are you even there?
There's a lot to be said for remote appearances. They're really convenient. I'm a big fan of the whole remote appearances thing. So
do you think that
they tell it not to have Runkle of the Bailey? You should have another one programmed. This mask was paid for by the CFO of Alberta.
That one might be a little too far. I mean, at least for in court. But yeah, no, it'll be fun. I mean, we'll just have to see what happens. I'll probably have another update video once that rolls around.
Yay! So, I tried to watch the saga of the cop that got caught by that sting. I just don't have 8 hours of time that are free.
I mean, the thing is, I think that's a fascinating decision because, oh my god, does that one start out kind of low key and end up like seriously wild?
Oh no! Like I was watching the previous video on how he got snagged entirely by accident because of the entirely separate investigation, and I'm like, oh.
Well, it was actually they were investigating him, and they snagged his girlfriend because she was a Crown prosecutor and basically fixing.
Well, no, actually, you should give her the proper treatment. She was his side piece.
Fair, yeah. So they were, she was talking with him about fixing tickets for a friend of his who turns out to be implicated in this whole thing that starts out with them wanting to find out about his. So they want to find out if he's misusing police databases, and by the end of it, he's stealing a police shotgun, and they've got masks and like zip ties, and they're planning to do like a full Breaking Bad style raid on their competitors. So it's like how it starts versus how it's going is kind of a big deal. And then there's questions like, did he steal the money? When you start asking, because he gets given this money to give to a confidential human source who is actually an undercover cop. And that undercover cop says, I don't want it, you take it. And he does. So is that stealing the money, or is that... All of these are like complicated questions, and we haven't even gotten to the part that's still coming up, which, because it hasn't actually been heard in court yet, which is the question of, did they entrap this guy? Because this whole big thing was this giant plan where everybody in this guy's life is arranged to get him to commit offenses, and every piece of technology around him has been wiretapped.
Well, at some point, somebody, and that somebody might be this cop, just went with it, right? I mean...
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is if you go to that much effort, eventually just about anybody's going to go with it, right?
I guess. I mean, it's a heck of a situation. Like I said, I wish I had 8 hours to get through the whole thing.
Fair enough. And I guess maybe I'll make a real quick summary video once the rest are done. But it's wild. I mean, it raises real interesting questions, because just how far can the police go? There have been some other past entrapment cases where,
I'll give you another story.
There's
hey,
another.
This former drug addict who's been out of the life, they start pressuring them to find them drugs. And in some of the cases, you've got people who are like, I don't know where to get drugs anymore, man. And the police are like, no, listen. And they start doing things like implying that somebody else in the organization, somebody that this guy knew, who's, of course, actually an undercover cop, has been killed. Like, they just say, this person won't be around anymore. And they kind of hint heavily while, after they come back with like a shovel and a bag of lime or something like that. These kinds of things where people are like, oh my God, are these people going to maybe kill me?
Oh, like the two junkies from BC who got like entrapped into trying to blow up the legislature.
Yeah, and that one they couldn't even get them to do any of the things. Like the police had to take several of the steps because they'd be like, "Here's money to go buy, pressure cookers," and they'd come back and they'd be like, "Oh, we don't know how to buy a pressure cooker," and they're like,
"What?
Seriously?" I mean, it gets to a point where if they're just manufacturing crime, that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, I think one of the arguments from that case was like, I mean, these folks basically fried their brains, and you're basically trying to entrap somebody who has mental deficiencies at this point. It's like, come on.
Yeah, it's.
Did you hear about the case that's going on in York region right now with the police planting evidence?
Oh, the mansion. That one was this big announcement about how they busted this like $1 million gambling ring. And now there's issues of, did the police steal watches? Is one of the things that...
Did they steal watches? And did they steal $450,000 worth of watches? And did they plant a holster in a bedroom in order to try and tie one specific person to like 13 illegal guns that they found there?
Yeah.
It's
so
like, come on, man. Like some of these cases you do get, like, the cops get given in a platter and then they just pull some shit like that.
It's this massive, like, illegal Chinese money laundering casino thing, and they just had to fuck it up. They just had to fuck it up.
I don't know what's going on with that one. I haven't seen any of the video and so forth, but if we assume that this is the case, like, how hard is it to just send some honest cops to do the thing, right?
Yeah, send the rookie, the guy that's fresh out of the academy, that knows all his shit, and just goes, go.
But I mean, there's all sorts of problems in policing. In the States, there was recently a police dog that they did some testing and they found that this police dog alerted to drugs 100% of the time, which sounds fantastic, except that there were drugs like 40% of the time in these tests. So when the dog always alerts, that just, that's
just what the heck was the policy? Stop and frisk or
No, this is just like a
yeah, I know.
Its purpose is just to give you a reason to search.
It's the age old from the States. I smell marijuana, Your Honor, or something.
That's here in Canada too.
Yeah.
The FPS Russia one, he was out in shorts, and that means he wasn't out on the town. He was. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh no, we're getting far too sidetracked.
No,
okay, hold on. Ian, gun stuff done?
I think so. Yep, I think that's the gun stuff.
Okay, so apparently I'm a complete fucking FUD now. Yeah, it's a 1911, folks. It's in 45 ACP because two world wars. It's because I honestly found. Have you ever actually looked at the size of the hole at the end of one of these things? It's almost comically large. It's like
I'm not actually a huge 1911 fan, and I've just watched my subscribership drop by like 1,000 people there.
No, this should help out a lot of crap. But you know what I found completely by accident? Because I owned this exact same gun about 7 years ago, and then I sold it when I moved to BC, and then I came back to Calgary, and I'm like, I want one of these again because I missed this gun. So it's a Ruger Ursa 1911 in the full 5-inch configuration. I fucking hate how short the grip is on this thing. Like, I've got palm hanging out below the bottom of the grip, and the mainspring housing cutoff on the grips just digs into my palm just a hair, just a tiny bit. So now I had to go looking for square bottom grips, and I found some from Canada Ammo, and then I also order another Israeli-made, ooh, how topical, Israeli-made stock for my other gun here. And I also ordered 4 jerry cans because, I mean, the world is going to end. Might as well have fuel.
Did you buy that Jericho?
No, it's sold. So instead, I bought a Tupperware gun.
Ew.
Yeah. So as if I couldn't be more inconsistent, then yeah, I bought the fuddiest gun ever, and then I bought like its complete opposite.
So
I don't
which
know.
model of brick is that?
It is a Glock 17 Gen 4 and 9mm. I couldn't be more basic, honestly. Like, I like holding these two things up and like side by side. This feels like a toy, man. It's almost comical.
You need to dual wield those at the range just so you can offend everybody at once.
I still say the only 1911 I'd want is if Glock started making one with a polymer frame.
Oh.
How many people would be so angry? It would be amazing.
That would be the greatest act of trolling.
There's a couple of photoshops of that online, and it just always got posted to Weekend Gun It. It just as a meme, and people will be like, "Yeah, that'd be kind of cool." And then like the other half of the comments would be like having a fucking meltdown. And speaking about just how funny can I get, I bought one of these again. Nylon 66 in the Seneca green. Ooh, fancy.
With a period crappy scope.
Fuck you, dude. This thing is awesome. like the eye box is like so fucking short. Like I seriously have to put like my face right up to it to actually see through it. It's a 3. It's either a 3 or a 4 times fixed magnification. Like it's a terrible scope by today's standards, but it's just such a fucking classic, man. And let me tell you, this gun had never been clean when I took it apart. I can almost guarantee nobody had ever taken it apart. And it was just full of shit. Like, you ever actually taken off a receiver or a dust cover or something and been able to take a finger and wipe off a layer of grime?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did that when I finally decided to clean my 597.
Yeah. And it's a sweet shooter with the quiet semi-auto. The what the fuck is it called? It's
CBs?
the CCI quiet semi-auto. It's a 45 grain lead round nose bullet traveling at like 800 feet per second. So it cycles because it's got that extra mass, so it's got still a high pressure, but it doesn't go very fast, and it groups pretty good. I mean, if it wasn't a tube fed from the stock, I might actually consider trying to use it for maple seed, but I'm not that completely and utterly insane. Have you seen a tube fed in maple seed, Adriel?
Not in Alberta, not yet. No, it's possible. We have like a whole rigmarole around how we treat it, but no, everyone's been mag fed.
What is the silliest gun you've seen at a maple seed?
A Mosin, a bolt action 243, like a hunting rifle. SKS was like not the best rifle for this kind of thing. I wouldn't say it's the silliest, but
A 243? Wow.
Imagine shooting a Mosin prone for like 200 rounds plus. That would just be like awful by the end of the day. But
hey, did the guy patch?
I believe we swapped in a loader rifle.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. But hey, man, I mean, if that's the gun you got, kudos to you.
So there's one gun you have that I think was still in transit last time. Do you have that one handy?
Who are you talking to?
Me.
Crover.
I don't fucking. I bought too many guns. I have no idea what
The
you're talking
fucking
about.
870.
Wait, 870?
What do you mean, what 870? What 870 would I have been shipping to you?
Oh, that guy. Yeah, no, of course I have it. It's just, I mean, it's upstairs. I did buy another 870. Here it is, and it's been augmented to meme status by yours truly. So, for those of you that are wondering what is wrong with me, there's a lot of things that are wrong with me. Like, for example, this is now sporting a plus 10 shot extension. So this holds 10 shells in the tube. And I'm actually in the process of acquiring a plus 12 because you see that gap below the barrel? That fucking offends me. So I'm going to get 2 more shells in there.
So this will be great for anything you want to hunt that happens to be like 6 or 7 feet ahead of you on the ground. You're trying to lift this thing.
You know what? This thing fully loaded, it's not bad. You would think that it would start to get obnoxious, and it already is obnoxious. And when it has the plus 12 tube, I bet it's going to be even worse. But what I was worried about was, and Adriel, here's a question for you. I know you're learned in this kind of thing. What is the minimum required length in terms of length of magazine versus length of spring?
I like to run the spring at 1.5 times the length of the magazine tube for a semi-auto. You might be able to get away with less in a pump.
So for this guy, the Choate, which by the way, this is a Choate Blue plus 10 extension. That's actually plus 6 shots in the tube. So it's a plus 6 extension. The spring is like to the end of the barrel.
It's probably fine. You're in a pump.
Yeah. I tried it. I cycled some dummies through it, and it works just fine. I'm just worried what the plus 12 extension or what the 12-shot extension will be like. Because
you'll need a longer spring for that.
yeah. Well, I mean, by my estimations, it'll be either flush or slightly in front of the end of the barrel.
They can be in front. In 3-gun, you see a lot of those guys running. They do it on purpose. They run their extension out because if they're thrown into a barrel or something like that to dump the shotgun, it hits that extension and it doesn't screw up the end of their barrel or their sight or their choke or any of that stuff. It hits the extension instead. Guys run them like a foot in front of their barrel. It's not a big deal. You won't hit it.
No, I'm not too worried about it because this is going to be my trap shotgun, by the way.
Reload it once and then fire the whole match or what?
Yeah, basically. No, you know why? The reason that I have it is honestly, there is a couple of ways that you can add swing to a shotgun, which is apparently a thing you want for trap. And this is getting really fucking fuddy. So at one point, somebody actually made a magazine tube weight plug that would work both as a weight for your barrel and as a magazine size limiter for hunting. So if you wanted to be super fuddy, you could do 2 fuddy things at once, which was only put 2 shells in your tube, and you would have a better swing with your gun. Instead, I just went the complete opposite direction. I mean, this will swing better because of the freaking mass at the end of the thing. And I'm going to be able to, like you said, load once and never have to reload again in the match. But, yeah, I'll show you a picture of the gun that Chris is talking about, because I also got an extension for it so that I could have that riot gun look. And it is so dope. Oh! I got a WK as well, by the way. So the story of this guy was, you ever run across a deal that is just too good to pass? I don't want another WK, but this guy was local to Calgary, and for $1,500, he wanted the gun and an Aim Point Pro, and an unspecified amount of rounds. He said, yeah, I have a box of ammo. What that box of ammo turned out to be was actually this garbage can full of ammunition. And aside from the garbage can worth of ammunition, an unopened Chinese 5.56 surplus box of ammunition, like one of the tin cans. And so I think by the end of it, it was like 1,000 rounds of ammo, plus a gun, plus the sight, plus three mags, and a whole bunch of shit that was bolted to the handguard. What I did with this guy is I just got rid of all the shit on the handguard. I put on the Spurk Ballistics hex brake because this thing has just been on every gun that I've had. I put the Magpul M-Lock slot covers for that extra grippiness, and I put the classic Canada flag A2 stock, which, by the way, I'm going to replace with that Israeli stock that's coming from Canada Ammo. This thing, using that crappy 5.6 surplus ammo from China, prints the exact same groups as PMC 223. I know. I know. It was really weird when I was just like, pim, pim, pim. Okay. So it's like an 1.5 inch, 2 inch group. Switch to the 5.56. I'm expecting who knows what kind of shit out of that gun. It ate it just fine, and it shot out an 1.5 inch, 2 inch group. I was like, well, okay. I guess I don't have to reload anymore. Nope. I'm not gonna get through that much.
Nope. Just run that shit.
Yep, just run that shit. I'm just gonna run that shit. But yeah, let me dig up that picture. Did you guys do anything neat lately, gun-wise? Did you participate in anything at all? Did you go anywhere at all? Anything at all? Anything?
No, it's been illegal for me to do anything since April 8th. And they've extended it till June 2nd.
Can you tell us how you really feel?
I get my vaccine tomorrow, which is also coincidentally my
got my
birthday.
vaccine too.
I'm pretty
Ian,
sure
did you get your shot yet?
Yeah, I got one. It knocked me on my ass for about.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
AstraZeneca.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
So how do
Is
you
that really
feel
that
now that the
bad?
government has told you that AstraZeneca is not great and you probably shouldn't have it?
I don't care. I'm going to do the Tasters
I mean,
pack. I'm going to just get the Pfizer one when it comes out. Get one of them too. Who cares?
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can collect the whole set.
Yeah.
Got a cat. I don't know if they were meant to be like Pokemon.
I'm hoping for superpowers here.
I mean, it's sensible. It probably happened, right?
You know, if I can get some laser eyes out of this, then we're good.
So what did it do to you, Ian? Because my mom felt like crap with AstraZeneca.
I mean, I felt great walking out of there, you know, and then about
Next
8 hours later, my wife was sitting there watching TV. I stumbled downstairs. She's like, "Do you want to watch TV with me?" And I was just like, "No." Stumble into bed and just passed out. Woke up, felt like, you know, massive flu. kept sleeping, had a day where I felt better, and then a day after that, I went back to feeling like massive flu, and then it passed.
Wow.
But
Wow.
yeah, it was brutal.
Dude,
What did you get, Kroger, Pfizer, Moderna?
Moderna. I went to the big TELUS convention center downtown in Calgary and just literally I almost timed it. It was like 25, 30 minutes. It's like literally walk in, sit down, get the shot. I had a really nice conversation with this lady called Kristen who gave me the vaccine and gave me some advice on trying to convince a couple of my dumbass friends that they want to get their vaccine. And then I sat down and it was good. And then I felt a little headachy in the afternoon, so I took a pill and my arm was sore for about 2 days. That's it.
Yeah, I'm getting either Pfizer or Moderna because it's the only vaccine approved for my age group.
I mean, that could be worse.
Yep, I'm also going to a mass vaccination clinic. The only problem is it's kind of like ruined my birthday timings for things because it's like they booked. I had no choice in the matter.
Do? What else are you gonna hang out
Go
with
to
your
my
friends, go to the
parents' house
bar
at the
and
very least.
stuff? Well, you can't do anything, man.
Go to my parents' house at the very least. They booked. I had no choice on where or when. They literally are like, "Here's where you're going," and it's at 5:30, and I'm like, "Well, okay." So
Yeah.
that's it. Right around dinner time, I'm going to be going. The only thing I'm concerned about is I've heard some people say that like you should probably eat before you go, but I was planning to eat after I get back because there can be like you can get dizzy due to a drop in blood pressure.
You're overthinking this.
You're
Like,
overthinking.
Yeah,
you roll in, you get the shot, you roll out. It's super fucking easy, man.
Yeah, you're not gonna get shitty like right there unless you
Yeah.
get shitty right there, and that means you're probably gonna die or something.
They'll ask you to wait like 15 minutes, and that's
Yeah.
just because they're stabbing you with a needle. It's not actually because of anything in it.
Yeah,
They'll do that,
But that-
anytime they stab you with something. And
but that's what I
honestly-
mean is like apparently vaccination can cause a drop in blood pressure that can cause dizziness.
Have you been?
And
When was the
that's
last time you
what-
got a shot?
Literally when I was 16, I'm actually really far behind on my MMR.
Ooh, yeah, you
That's
gotta
because
get
I
your
don't have a
tetanus
family
booster,
doctor,
dude.
and I'm lazy.
You need your booster shots, man. That shit, you don't fuck around with tetanus or rabies and shit like that.
It's measles, mumps, rubella.
Yeah, this is, by the way, here's the gun you're talking about. The 870 so minty, it looks fucking fake.
Yeah, it does look fake.
It's actually kind of fucking hilarious because I ordered that magazine extension from Wolverine Supplies because it was advertised as a 7-shot magazine extension. So I thought, the gun has 4 shells in it. That means I'm gonna get a 3-shot. I mean, a +3 extension. But fucking Choate has a absolutely moronic way to name their fucking products. They're talking about, and get this, 7-shot means 6 + 1.
oh no, don't
Okay.
approve of that.
No? Okay, when you buy a 10-round magazine for your Glock, do you call it an 11-shot magazine? Huh?
No, but I think there's other reasons why they don't particularly venture into marketing on that one. Because if you start marketing, hey, this is an 11-shot magazine, you get horsey boys at your door.
Yeah.
Yes, RCMB going, oh, is it now? Well.
And I mean, as much as that would be great for trolling them, I feel like most people would not find that to be a worthwhile exchange.
Unlike the C71 1022 clone.
It's not a 1021 clone, it's its own device. It's like the Bergara rifles are Remington 700s. They're just Remington 700 footprint. So you can use Remington 700 parts on it. But yeah, there is the
Actually, I
+2
didn't know
extension. Yeah. There's the +2 extension. Or the so-called 7-shot extension. And here's what a 8-shot extension looks like, which is a 7 + 1, giving me that flush riot gun look. It's so tasty. Oh, yeah.
On a gun that is beautiful.
Yeah, and that gun is never gonna be fired.
You bought,
it is
you bought
seriously-
very, very expensive decorative wall art.
It actually is. Like the 2 guns above that one are gonna get shot because the trap gun is already beat up. I don't know if it actually came through in the pictures, but This gun is in really good condition. The barrel is in beautiful condition. The wood is absolutely gorgeous. But its main problem is somebody got rust on the receiver and they decided to try to polish it off with some kind of brush. So it's just scratched up the fucking bluing. And I know exactly what he did is he fucking grabbed this thing with his wet mittens because there is a rust or like a pitting area that is the shape of a thumbprint right fucking there. And so
You bought a
fucking,
Rustington. What did you expect? Did you expect that thing would make it out alive? Come on, man.
fuck you. This thing is from 1983, okay?
Hey man, just break out the wire wheel and clean that rust.
To counter to that, you bought a gun from 1983 expecting it to be mint. What did you expect?
Still rust.
Bitch! Your 870 that you sent me is from 1969, and that one is mint.
Yeah, because you managed to find the fucking like winner of the 870 lottery here and had me go down to Hamilton to get it.
Yeah, by the way, thank you for that. Have you gotten Bubba with your Versamax yet?
No, I'm going to be incredibly lazy on that and just keep those for a while. And eventually maybe I'll do something. I'm just very, very lazy right now.
Well, what are you fucking doing at home? Fucking do it. Go buy a power drill.
I mean, the thing is, I got the Versamax to use it as a hunting shotgun. And so the plus whatever the fuck mag extension, like if I get into 3-gun at some point, that's when I'll probably be like, all right, time to go and stick the extension on this fucking thing and make some use out of it.
Just fucking
right now, like compared to like my fucking Turkish lever gat, where it's literally just unscrew, new spring, screw on, and there's nothing else it needs doing. Like, I don't know.
Do it. Just fucking do it.
I just signed up for my first 3-gun. Well, I signed up for my first 3-gun match, which got canceled due to plagues. That was really obnoxious. I had enough time to send in my payment before it was like, yeah, no, it's canceled now. Here's your payment back.
Nah.
So I feel bad about that. But, yeah, no, I'm hoping if the, Battle for Alberta is still going, if that, runs, that'll be my first 3-gun match, which might be hilarious.
The big one. Your first 3-gun match is a massive 2-day event with like 11 stages.
Yep. And there's going to be people like, who's this guy rounding out dead last?
Like, no. I think usually the people that go dead last are the ones that DQ, or is that how it works, Adrian?
My goal here is to try to avoid being one of the guys who DQs, but
that is a good odds. Goal. Like my friend who has run like 3 guns in his life, that has been his goal so far is not to DQ.
Yeah, you won't be last.
I've seen
I give it 50-50 odds.
What's that? I haven't been to too many IDPA matches. I've seen 2 DQs in IDPA. And I think they were both due to muzzle. One guy I think broke the 180 twice. He either broke the 180 twice, or it was either that, or he had his finger in the trigger guard while moving. And the other guy, it was at a night match. We were indoors. They turned the lights off, and you go with the flashlight. And what he did is some fucking Russian guy doing special forces Spetsnaz shit. He shoots and then does this with the pistol to move, and moves with the pistol pointing straight up. And he did that twice. And the first time he does it, muzzle. He points it back, goes and does it a second time. Cease fire. And the RO goes over. He goes, "What the hell are you doing?" I goes, "Well, you see, in military, you are trained movement like that." And he goes, "This isn't the military, man. If you trip and fall, you're going to shoot yourself in the fucking face. Unload and leave. You're done for the day."
I haven't had that. Every once in a while, someone will move with a shotgun or a rifle up in the air, and then they'll get close to 90 like that. But I haven't had that happen. You get like people break 90 and then they get DQ'd because they aren't paying attention to their angles. You get people who are shooting, and then if they get a jam or something like that, that's a really dangerous time because they get a jam, they start pulling magazines and messing with the gun, and their fingers on the trigger maybe because they were just shooting. Or some people, when they reload and then pull it back out, their fingers still on the trigger as they're reloading. Those are the most dangerous times for a new shooter.
So
but,
So yeah, only tangentially related. One of the things that I always catch people doing in courses is this thing is fucking hard to move.
Oh, and they turn it sideways.
Mhm.
Right? So I have to specifically tell them, you're not going to bring this close to you. You're going to use large muscle groups. So you're going to stick your arm out in front of you, lock your elbow, and that is easy to rack that way.
Yeah, yeah. The a real common one will be, let's say that this is directly downrange. I am shooting to the left, and I'm right-handed, and I go to reload my pistol. I'm now breaking 90 because I pulled the gun up. So if you're pointing to the left and you got to reload, you basically have to just pull a little bit off to the side and reload. So you don't
do a 180. You do 90.
Well, they're the same thing. 90 degrees from center or 180 from.
Okay.
Yeah, 180 from your edges. Yep.
Right.
But
Yeah.
depending on
So
your
sometimes
sport,
I've been
they'll
in
call it-
places where they're very much like, no, the gun points that way and only that way. They don't do 180, but that's because it's like, indoors. There's no protection on these sides. It's all just down there.
Well, there's protection so that the bullets won't leave the facility, but you're going to either catch a shrapnel or catch a ricochet. So,
Yeah.
or
yeah,
you catch the
shrapnel.
concrete wall.
Yeah.
no, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But,
in
yeah.
a normal 3-gun or IPSC match, it's 180. It's directly to
Yeah.
your sides, and that includes up. So if you pull one of these, you're gonna break it on the way back.
One thing I've noticed watching Forgotten Weapons and In Range is they don't really care about up so much in theirs. I notice when they're doing movements, they're pointing the gun way over whatever berm they're at, and I'm just like, I would get fucked for doing that at every gun club I belong to.
Up
Like,
is
my
usually
buddy
not the
got
big
in
deal
shit
at
at
most places.
Silverdale because he was pulling the mag out of my SIG, and when he was pulling, he was applying backward force. It caused the gun to jerk upwards while the mag came out. Of course, this was just after they had just been shut down for 2 months because of some jackass shooting a SKS on the fucking shotgun patterning range. So they were really anal about dumb shit, and they were also letting some old guy do the same thing and not caring because, we're two young guys in our 20s. But they gave him shit for doing that 3 times, and we're just like, I don't even know how this is. We didn't even know what or how it was happening at the time.
It's probably not like a rule. It's like they see a new person shooting, and they're like, I would prefer if you were like constrained a little bit more, like because like you don't look familiar. But someone who's familiar, like if you see someone practicing IPSC and they do a standard reload and they do it smoothly, they've got it under control, right?
They knew at least who I was, but it was like kind of ridiculous. He's unloading the pistol and it goes up slightly, and they're like, "That's pointing over the berm. You're not supposed to do that."
That's
like,
PTSD talking. That's not like a real range rule. That's them like not
Yeah,
wanting to have
that is-
round go over the berm.
But Ian, what
it
did you
literally
ask
is,
before, Ian?
Oh, I can't remember. I'm just thinking I'm gonna have to practice like mad to avoid the DQing.
You can do it
So-
with finger guns. You can do finger guns really, really well, and just practice like that. If you put some targets around your room, put some different stop positions on the ground, and just practice like engaging them, running backwards. So if you running backwards with a pistol, you can run backwards like this, or you can run backwards like this. But you just need to be aware of where your 90s are and practice it, and it's doable safe.
Also, get a Glock.
I've got
What are you
a-
gonna run? Ian, what are you going to run for your loadout?
The artillery's
probably the P226, the X95, and Mossberg.
Nice.
Which Mossberg?
I'd
Oh, just-
say
I can actually go grab it.
500.
Yay, guns.
590.
Yeah, I have yet to shoot this thing because the reg certs came in. I am just curious, man, if this thing... I don't think I've actually shot a legit, just straight up Glock 17. Because the last Glock that I had was the Glock 17L, the long
Guess what? I
boy.
no longer have a key to.
Oh, oops.
Now, your stack on will be harder to pick. That will not be. That's a 3-pin, super duper easy.
This is like 10 seconds with a Dremel.
I was just going to say, I believe you misspoke and you forgot to say bolt cutter.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, angle cutter. One of them little guys will do that too.
Or the Dremel.
Dremel will just go right through this like
Yeah.
nobody's business. So, yeah. So don't need to bring out any big hardware, but that's going to have to come off and get replaced. And
Ooh, what furniture you got on
Make
that?
sure you
Um,
don't have the duck plug in there, the waterfowl plug. A lot of shotguns will come with a plug in there. That's only for waterfowling. So with waterfowling, you can fit 2 in the tube, and then no more. So there'll be
Right.
like a pencil or like a piece of plastic in the tube there that you can pull out.
I don't think it does. I'm pretty sure that was in the box when I got the thing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will have to check.
Which
I know
that's a 500,
Mossberg
right?
does
Just
tend
a
to have
basic
it
500?
in the gun already.
I think it's just the basic 500. Yeah.
Yeah,
The-
just look at its belly right in front of the loading port. It should have the data stamp on there.
You'd say should, but the answer to that is no.
Oh,
This one appears to have
It's a
like no
Mossberg.
markings whatsoever.
Does it have chokes or is it cylinder bore?
The barrel on it currently is cylinder bore, and part of the reason for that, I've got a choke, a proper hunting attachment with chokes. Just because I'm a little paranoid, and right now the law is kind of unclear. I was figuring if the RCMP ever kicked down my door, I want them to find this with a cylinder bore on it.
But you'll be able to run chokes at 3-gun, right?
wait, are
Yes, I
you
could,
are you talking about getting spooked over the 20 mil thing?
Yeah, I think that's a bigger problem than is clear right now.
Huh.
He's got to keep his nose clean.
Yeah, I guess I don't have a 10 gauge anymore.
Well, I mean-
that or
Yeah, when I get around to doing my video on Hasselwander, I'll probably revisit the issue, just, talking about how do we define this. But I do know that there are at least some people at various Crown prosecutors' offices in at least 3 provinces who have said that, in their view, the ban includes a lot of 12 gauges.
Ooh.
Yeah, a tweet is not law. Just
Yeah,
because
no, I
someone
mean, a
tweets it.
tweet has no legal effect.
Yeah.
Interesting.
speaking of legal effect, I did see at least some of that video you did with Ed about the back.
Oh, I watched that whole thing. That was dope. That was dope.
No, that. I mean, that's big.
Can you guys just describe that for our viewers and listeners?
Long story short, long gun registry ain't gone, folks. They still use it. It's just not the long gun registry. It's just all the data in it, and they just don't call it the long gun registry.
Yeah, the evidence appears to be that they took a copy, saved the copy, and are still using it for various investigative purposes. Notwithstanding the fact that the instant it was no longer a thing, it started getting out of date. And, every firearm that is transferred, well, what that means is that you could say, let's say you own a fine shotgun, and you decide, non-restricted, you decide, I don't want to own this shotgun anymore. So you get rid of your pal and you get rid of the shotgun. Well, one day they could decide, hey, you still have this shotgun, and they want to raid you for it because they've got out-of-date information.
This literally happened in New Zealand. There was a guy who at one point had sent an email to a politician that included a picture of a lever action 22 that had a magazine of more than 10 rounds on it. And he got raided by the police with them looking for this lever action rifle that he had said he'd sold years ago because of a photo he sent in an email to a politician years ago.
Yes, but don't you feel safer knowing that you got raided?
Swatted.
That's one of my favorite things to say when I'm teaching the PAL course. You know what the most frequented part of the PAL course, our PAL course actually, that gets the part of do you feel safer, is when I get talking about ATTs and registration certificates. And I always preface that. I always preface that with, this ATT does this. Welcome to the world of victimless paper crimes.
Oh, yeah.
The ATT is the most fundamentally useless part of our gun control legislation, even more worthless than the long gun registry.
No. See, the ATT, I almost don't care about it because now it's just a database entry on a database out there. The thing that irritates me the most is that they still hold on to the fact that they won the fucking reg certs. It's like they had a brain where they're like, like the paper thing doesn't really need to be a thing with the ATTs, but it needs to be a thing with the reg cert.
Well, the paper thing depends on which province you're in, because the Ontario CFO has said multiple times, including to me personally, you don't need the piece of paper. It's attached to your thing digitally. The cops can look it up. But that piece of paper still says you must carry this piece of paper at all times with your license. Yeah, the condition statement on it. It still says you must carry this piece of paper, so I keep it in my range bag. So that when at least I'm leaving with my guns, it's there. But I also used to actually still have a paper ATT because for a while I was a member at a club on a military base that is not Section 29 approved, so they still had to give me an ATT to that base.
I had Ian, you'll love this. As an instructor, you have to get a special ATT to transport the Sable handguns to the RPAL courses.
Which is actually wrong. Here's the problem. The CFO, it wants to have it both ways. What they give you is they give you a requirement that these guns be deactivated, and in fact, they're deactivated to the to the standards that, pursuant to the criminal code, they would not count as firearms. Which means that those things are not guns, legally speaking, if they've been deactivated to those standards.
No, they haven't been deactivated to those standards.
Okay, if
they take the firing pins out.
No. Okay, hold up. From the horse's mouth. The standard for using firearms in a PAL course that was told to me, and it is part of the contract that I signed as an instructor, is the firearms must be unable to discharge ammunition. I can send you. You know what? I'll send you the documentation, Ian.
They must be able to.
They must not be able to discharge ammunition.
Right, and I've seen specifications for what they want done. And
there was an old one. Nowadays, the specification is the most basic thing that you can do is pull the firing pin.
Okay, if that's all that's done, then it would still count as a firearm, and it still has to be treated as one.
Yes.
The old specification included a bunch of things like drilling out where you'd put in a firing pin.
Yep. I think one of the things, because it's weird, the paperwork still says if you want to, you can do any of the following things. You can drill out a specific sized hole on the chamber. You can, and if it has a slide that covers the chamber, you have to also drill through the slide.
There was prior specifications that required you to do a list of things.
Yeah.
And those would basically make the gun not fireable and not repairable.
Yeah.
At which point, it's not a gun.
I heard about that. They wanted it cock and click deactivated, basically, but the RCMP holds that cock and click is no longer deactivated.
Which is also wrong. A cock and click deactivated gun is deactivated.
Yeah. Now I think they have to be welded shut. They have to have a rod put through the barrel, whole bunch of other things. Like you basically, if it has an upper and a lower, it cannot be separated. The firing control group cannot be operational.
Which is way more
bolt. The bolt has to be defaced, so it cannot support a cartridge.
Yeah, it's way more than the legal test, and that's something that they're going to end up having fights over, because with the new bans, there's going to be a whole lot of people who are deactivating them to different standards. But
you know what I saw that absolutely royally pissed me off? Somebody posted on CGN an HK MR 556 that was deactivated.
Wanted to keep it?
Yep. But he was posting it for sale. He was like, yeah, I want $3,000 for a brick.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, no, this has been, it was in CGN. He's like, this has been deactivated to the standard, and it comes with a deactivation certificate. It's like, cool. Enjoy the fucking paperwork, because nobody's going to buy that. Or the paperweight. Nobody's going to buy that thing. But yeah, no. That was the thing that I wanted to mention is along the things that you're taught or that we're supposed to teach in the PAL course is how to properly shoot one-handed with our pistol. So I do a demonstration, and you're gonna fucking love this. Where I go, so folks, when you're doing your one-handed shooting, just make sure to stand off. You don't stand off square to the target when you're shooting. You blade your body, and then you have to brace you have to brace your non-shooting hand, okay? And you can put it in your pocket, you can grab your belt, you can go into your back pocket, you can go crotch tool in 45 and go urban. I don't care.
Yep, I remember
always
what I
make that
did was
joke.
I was taught kind
But
of
hold
hook
up, Chris,
your
hold up,
thumb
Chris.
in your pocket.
And turn it sideways for extra.
Yeah, so I teach the class, right? And I always make that joke, and I always get a couple of laughs. And then a couple of weeks ago, I had a class with a couple of ESL students. And during the handling portion, I saw one of the ESL students actually go, okay, I'm practicing my grips. And so she goes, okay, like this. And then she goes like this. And then she goes. And I was like, oh God, I can't make this joke anymore. She didn't grab her crotch. She didn't grab her crotch, but she went 45. And I was like, I can't make a joke there anymore.
I remember for that one, I put my hand in my pocket when I did that stance, but that stance has always been like pretentious to me.
Oh, it's great because I did a course as well where there was a Brit, and that was a doozy of a course because the guy, he actually said, well, nobody needs an AR-15, and then we had a conversation. He was also adamant that 9mm was completely underpowered because he served in the military and they gave him a Sten, and he found that when he saw service, he's like, yeah, I know when I was shooting people, the 9mm was useless, and I was like, I can't really argue with that.
The thing is
But
that
there's
lots
a
of people have been shot with 9mm and found it to be entirely non-useless. We have an entire history of the world that shows that 9mm does just fine.
When you're
against people.
shooting a bunch of doped up Afghani terrorists, it's a little bit different than when someone's trying to steal your wallet.
Well, and people who are wearing, often improvised body armor and so forth, because that's a thing.
Maybe he was trying to shoot him from like 200 meters away, and they had winter jackets on, and it's like,
Yeah,
like, is it
missed
raining?
anyways.
Like, what
Yeah.
yeah. See, that's one of the things that you kind of have to weigh when you're teaching. Is like, do I want to engage in a conversation with a student, or do I just want to get through this course?
I always have that at like gun shows where you walk up and you pick something up, and the guy's like, "And this," and he starts going off on some legal thing, and it's just like, "Thank you for your time. Set this down and walk away." Because
Yeah, no.
you try to correct some people, and it just doesn't.
But yeah,
go well.
the Brit had a real kicker when we were doing the one-handed shooting. He was like, a proper way to shoot. And I was like, oh God. He was
Yes, but when I was at my competitions in Bisley.
Yeah, he was also quite repulsed by anything that wasn't the over-under that we were using in the fucking course. But hey,
How dare you
got his
use
pal.
something as pathetic as a pump action?
yeah,
How
no,
You gotta
it's like-
shoot. You gotta shoot one-handed for IPSC and that kind of thing. Like they ask you to shoot one-handed for some, and that stance you're showing there, Crover, with like clenching your hand on something, getting that sympathetic clench, and then clenching with your right hand too, is what you got to do if you want to shoot one-handed and control the gun. So
Yeah, no,
you gotta do it.
There is a lot of good in the course, and then there is a lot of pointing guns at your face, which just kind of destroys basically the core points of the course, which are gun safety. It's like it still baffles me.
They gotta update that part. Like imagine like anything where it's like, okay, if you went to a range and you did some of the stuff in this course, and people around you would lose their minds, you gotta take it out of the course. And I think the this thing here is probably one of those things you'd want.
Like,
With that, I've actually seen the RSOs at my range.
Pick up this thing. It's clear. I don't need to look into the fucking barrel.
I've seen the RSOs at my range actually do examine the bore, and when they do the stupid handgun course at the range where you have to go and do the probationary shoots, they make the person examine the bore at the end of it.
Kiss my ass. I would bring a pencil.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
You can look down the bore and see light coming through with a
I
pistol.
did look down the bore
Adriel,
one time because
the
I thought I had a
argument
squib,
there-
and I got yelled at by another RSO.
The argument there is there could be something stuck to the wall. And I would almost give them that. except for the fact that pencils exist, and just shove a fucking pencil in the barrel here, and
Well,
it
and
pokes
you've
out
got
the
a-
other side, and you're good.
Like if you've got a partial obstruction that's sticking something to the wall, what exactly is that? Like, did you somehow get some sort of super glue down there, or like?
You know what? It's funny you bring that up. I have first world experience with a partial bore obstruction. I was shooting a Ruger 1022 takedown, and I was trying to figure out how the takedown like locking rings worked. And I guess I had him loose because the barrel was drooping and something was happening. And what was happening was I was noticing the shots were starting to go all over the fucking place.
And you had some.
And I take the barrel off and I look through the barrel, and there is a ring, a shadow on the inside of the barrel. What the fuck is that? So I grab a cleaning rod and I knock out lead.
Whoa, like a big... You probably had one that, like, maybe a hollow point or something like that. It squished the middle part out and left the jacket behind.
Yeah.
Like a ring of lead.
And it was still shooting, and projectiles are making it through, but it was shedding lead on the inside of the barrel.
Yeah.
And I pushed out a hollow lead cylinder out of the barrel, and I was like,
Nasty.
"What the fuck is that?"
Yeah. We had a guy at 3-gun kaboom his pistol on the clock. Something went wrong. He looked down into the chamber, saw light, loaded it up, boom. It was the back of the bullet that he saw shining back inside the barrel, and it was a squib. So there is some like now keep in mind, under pressure shooting, competition shooting, that's different than I'm just at the range shooting and I felt something weird. If you took like more than a split second and looked at it, you'd know what it was. But if you're under the clock and you're like, I have a problem, and it's clear, and boom, and it'll just ruin your day.
Now, can you tell me what happens at a 3-gun shoot if you decide to do the barrel check?
Yeah, you don't pass the course. It's not like PAL. You don't pass.
So
I kind of feel like that's you're done, buddy. You're out of here.
The explanation that I always give when we get to the E in Axe and Prove is like, okay, at this point, the RCMP says that you're basically holding a fancy metal tube if you've gone through the entirety of Axe and Prove and you've gotten to E. And by that logic, at this point, when you examine the bore for bore obstructions, the RCMP says that you will take your gun, which is now a fancy tube, and open it and point it at your face.
See, but with a break action like that, because it's just two tubes, you don't have to.
I specifically use the break action because it's extra stupid, considering you can just look through the other
with
side.
the break action, they were just like, you just pop it open and look, and it's fine. But I remember on my course, and this happened when I was 15, so it was a long time ago, the instructor used a specific example of Bruce Lee's son. Jet Li, I think was his. I'm not sure, but he died because they had a squib on a pistol being used for filming at a range day that they didn't clear, and then loaded it with blanks, and then it fired the squib at him while filming.
That's a popular myth, if I recall correctly, and somebody can double check. It was a live. It was a film day. They were shooting a scene. It was a blank firing gun, but it wasn't a properly disabled blank gun, which should have a blind barrel. So it was basically a live gun with blanks, and he shot himself in the head, and the pressure of the blank still killed him.
No, it wasn't that, because it was from a distance. What it was is, as described, he had so they were using a non-blank gun, a real gun.
Okay.
But it was being used with blank cartridges and with dummy cartridges. Now, the dummy cartridges were not supposed to have any powder or primer. They were just purely dummies. And
Brandon
then
Lee
later they were going to, so this was being used for like showing handling, right? If you're showing somebody loading the gun, you want it to look like a proper bullet. But then when it came to firing it, it's supposed to be fired with just a blank. The problem is that the dummy rounds were assembled incompetently. And so in the course of using it, one of the projectiles from the dummy round came loose and ended up in the barrel.
Wow.
And so it wasn't
Yeah.
a squib; it was an incorrectly assembled dummy round.
Yeah,
And that
I'm
ends up in
checking
the
the
barrel.
thing of death here. Yeah, but
And then
it
it's a blank that was used with powder and primer.
So it was a
and-
bullet. It was just a. It was
And
a
now
gun.
there's a full bullet in there.
Yep, it was a
so
gun.
essentially, they
They shot
got
at the gun.
to a full cartridge the long way, and
and that's the explanation that I was given by my instructor is if they had done examine the bore for Brandon Lee's thing, then Brandon Lee would not have been killed between loading the dummies and loading the blanks because they would have noticed there was a bore obstruction and cleared it. And that was the justification that my instructor had for examine the bore.
So you got to examine the bore first, and then you get your live gun and point it at your friends and start pulling the trigger, right? Then it's okay?
because I mean, the thing is when you're talking about filming that involves firing blanks in the direction of a person, you're already talking about stuff that is normally considered not just ultra hazardous but criminal.
Yeah.
You know, if I take my real gun, load it with blanks, and point it at my buddy and fire 6 rounds, that's a crime normally. Now they're engaging in this sort of ultra hazardous, activity. Really, what they should have been doing is not just that, but using separate guns. In the same way that you'll have the police forces, and some police forces will have here are, the black guns which fire lead, and the whatever blue or yellow or whatever ones that fire rubber bullets, and you never load live lead into a yellow gun and vice versa, right? It's strict. And those sorts of things help. But I mean, if you're a film armorer on something where they're going to be actually doing pointing and firing, then yeah, makes more sense. But
I bet they have new industry regulations where this would just never happen again. Because this sounds like when did he die? 90s?
I think I
This is
remember
old.
93.
watching.
yeah,
This is old.
I think I remember a video on YouTube where I think it must have been Ian actually. It was a video of a big production company in LA, and they were showing how like a Desert Eagle. How does a Desert Eagle make it to a film? And basically, because it's a gas operated gun, you basically can't just run blanks because it
You need
still
a blank
needs to.
firing adapter.
It needs to basically have a gas system to operate. So you have to block off the barrel, but only have an enlarged gas port and a way to vent excess gas, so that when you put a blank through it, it won't ever be able to shoot something because the barrel is blocked.
Yeah.
But the gases will have a
So
way to
what-
go somewhere and actually cycle the action.
What I understand ends up happening is either have another barrel made or some form of thing known as a blank firing adapter that constricts the diameter of the barrel to create artificial back pressure to allow it to cycle blanks. And I know this is what they used on Sterling's in the forces, because my dad talked about when they would do exercises using blanks, they would have to affix blank firing adapters onto the Sterlings, so that way they'd be able to cycle with blank ammunition. And all it did was just, it would constrict the bore diameter at the very end there to create artificial back pressure, but it still allows things to go out the front, and blanks make a fantastic fireball apparently most of the time. So you get this fantastic big flash out the front and the gun cycles, but it's coming from like a diameter the size of a pencil
Pinhole,
kind of hole.
the there's actually a case I may end up covering, but it's a Canadian military tragedy. And basically they were doing drills that involved running towards people who were firing blanks at them. And basically the idea is you should get used to this notion, but one of the guys on the line somehow grabbed a mag of live rounds.
Oh.
And so he pulls the trigger and his blank firing adapter goes and heads downrange in bits. And he goes, oh shit. And he has the proper realization that he's firing live rounds at this point. So he drops the magazine, grabs the proper blanks, loads the magazine, points back down range, and kills his buddy because he forgot to eject
Clear
the
the
cartridge.
chamber. Yeah.
What
And,
was
you know-
he using though? That had was it an AR in this situation?
I believe, yeah, the C7, I think, or
Okay,
whatever.
because if this was a Sterling, those are open bolt.
No, this was,
Okay.
you know, sort of
More-
AR pattern.
okay.
But, you know, basically, under the, I mean, that was a giant safety screw up because really, if you're doing anything with blanks like that,
Yeah, how
There
does
should
the
not be
how does a
live
live
cartridges.
magazine make it there?
yeah, exactly. Why would you have that anywhere near the field?
Because the military is mostly made up of 18-year-olds who couldn't get into college or couldn't afford it.
Well,
I mean, that's safety fail number one. Safety fail number two is if you pull the trigger and your blank firing adapter turns to bits, that's call it. Everything needs
Yeah.
to stop. Something has
Yeah.
gone, you know,
Yeah.
and
But that my understanding is the military just responded to that with federal budget cuts that made it so they can't afford blank ammunition for training anymore.
so now they just have to point down range and yell bang, bang.
You joke, but literally, my parents told me of times where that was what they were having to do because they were told they could not afford blanks, so they had to go around with the guns and point them and yell bang.
Well, I've actually heard that one of the impacts of the airsoft rules that are being considered is that some military training is apparently sort of off the books happening with airsoft guns because there isn't enough ammunition for them to do as much training as they'd like. So,
Holy shit! Really? Wow.
yeah, that's somebody reached out to sort of tell me that one, and I was like,
Every time I hear people say the police and military should be the only ones with guns, I say, do you know how little either of those actually trains with firearms? Even the military does not train marksmanship like anywhere as often as people seem to think.
there have been a couple of range incidents where somebody was being really dangerously unsafe in my direction, and both times it turned out to be a police officer. And one of them, they flashed a badge at me, and the other one, I just knew who it was. But
Oh, actually, I had a buddy of mine who was doing a sale on CGN, and the guy was, I think he was buying something off him, and the guy was like, "Yeah, I need your PAL and your driver's license." I'm like, "Why?" Because I'm gonna run you through the system. Fuck you. Goodbye.
I would have been like, sure, and then I would have filed the complaint. Let him run it, and then, you know, burn him to the ground for, oh yeah, you're using this.
Yeah, I think he
For
was
your own
using it for
personal
personal use of the database and invading my privacy.
Yep.
Yeah, with that. I do remember though one time I had access to the PAL verification online when I worked at a store. And one person who I sold a thing to, I said, I'm only going to ship this to the address that comes up on your verification, but I do have access. I work at a store. I have access to the verifiers thing. Send me your PAL, and I will verify that your PAL is valid in this way. So at least I told him beforehand, here's what I'm going to do, and he was okay with it. But
I mean,
I'm
it's-
not a cop.
yeah, the police are really limited, and they're not supposed to be using that for their own personal
No.
stuff.
Wait, you mean to tell me you can't just search up a political figure and smear her name on the force's private Facebook group for shits and giggles?
Oh yeah, no, that would be
or
a
stalk
thing.
her throughout parks on an ATV.
Or, you know, follow her into bars?
Yeah. Well, the other one that's real fun is one way that healthcare workers often get fired is running their own names. Because
Really?
Yep, you're not allowed to. And it'll come up as, you know, they have all sorts of trips to see if you're using the system improperly. So I've heard lots of stories of healthcare workers getting fired for this sort of stuff. Police officers don't appear to have the same sort of trips and
Yeah,
so
see,
forth.
if Buddy had actually filed a complaint, then he would have just gotten that cop, you know, a 2-week paid vacation. So, you know.
Yeah, pretty much.
It
but,
probably would have been longer than 2 weeks. It would have been that they'd open an investigation, and that
You're
probably
on
would have
desk
taken
duty for 4 months. You might as well just go ahead and take a vacation.
No, they put him on paid administrative leave pending the results of the investigation. So he's literally on a paid vacation. But I remember a lot of people don't seem to know, and some shops don't do this, but when an employee at a gun shop has the ability to run your firearms license, to check if it's valid, and the results that come back include everything you have given the Canadian Firearms Program. So when you run that name, it will give back your registered address, your place of birth, your date of birth, your expiry date, your email address if you have one on record, and your phone numbers that you have on record. So that way they can validate in that information if you provided it. Because the shop I worked at, we required all that information on the form of sale because this was a Quebec-based company, and so we would validate that based against the thing that came up on the computer. There was actually one time someone left their license at our store. They forgot it there. We called the phone number that shows up when you validate the license to let the person on the other end know, hey, I think it was like his mother answered or something. Your son left his firearms license here. So we actually when they did that, it's like, how do we tell this person? Well, when we verify his license, all we need is the license number and the expiry date, and it will allow us to verify it and give us all that information. So we ran that, called the phone number, and told them.
You know, like, aside from the non-existent
privacy issues
concerns on that one, who cares? You called him, he got his license. I would rather you did that to me than.
Well, you have to report it you have to report if you lose your license, don't you, Ian?
You do, yeah. And I mean, that to my mind makes, I've got less issue with those details, but a police database has a lot more stuff in it than that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so running you in the police database is a bit of a bigger deal.
Yeah, eat a bag of dicks, basically.
One of the fun things I remember was when we verified a guy's license and it was 2 addresses out of date, which you are required by law to update your address within 30 days.
Oh, Ian, I have a question that a student made to me. Okay, so we're talking about moving with restricted firearms, and you have to do it beforehand, right?
You got to get the ATT beforehand. Yep.
Right. So what if my friend borrows my restricted firearms, and he comes to my house to pick them up? Does he need an ATT to go to my house and pick up my guns to take them back to his house?
Likely, yes.
Yes.
But why?
Because your house is not covered under the general transport conditions.
Right? But if the guns are at my house and they're allowed to be there, when he comes to pick them up and he goes home,
where the transport between your house and his house is not what's covered on the transport conditions.
Yeah, you've got to connect all the different points, right? And your buddy's house is not one of the things that's on the standard sort of automatic ATT. So basically, all the law does is it gives you this blanket ATT. And so you look at the locations on that and say, does it connect the 2 points I want to go to? So your house and the range, yes, those are connected. But your buddy's house and your house are not connected points on that. You have to get a separate ATT for that.
I agree with
Now,
that, but the question is, but hold on, Chris, hold on. Yeah. So, Buddy is borrowing restricted firearms, right? And Buddy has a restricted firearms license in order to do that. And let's say he already has an ATT for his restricted firearms.
Yeah.
But that's the question. Is that ATT an ATT for all restricted firearms or an ATT for his restricted firearms?
You'll have to look at your license, because in some provinces they issue it for just all restricted firearms, but in most places what they do is all restricted firearms registered to you.
Yeah,
so that would be a question of phoning the CFO and getting a copy of your long-term ATT given to you so you can see the conditions on that ATT that is digitally attached to your license now that you don't ever get to see. Unless you
don't throw out the transport conditions paperwork that comes with your license. It says, please keep this piece of paper because you may be required to produce it. It's on that, and as far as I remember, it does say registered to you. So theoretically, if you are borrowing handguns from someone, you do need to get an ATT for the handguns you borrowed that specifies you are allowed to borrow those guns and transport them to the range, because they are not registered in your name. They are registered in your buddy's name. So unless you want to borrow them by transferring them to you with an agreement that you're going to transfer them back to your buddy, you will have to get an ATT to transport them from your buddy's house to your house, and another ATT to transport them from your house to the range while you borrowed them. And I'm not going to mention any times that this may have been different in terms of me borrowing my dad's pistols when I lived at his house.
That is so dumb. That just made the fucking class so much longer.
So what ended up happening, the ATTs used to be, because I used to have them, they used to cover any restricted firearm registered at that address. So in those cases, since I lived with my dad and my mom, they both had handguns registered to them. I could borrow their guns whenever the hell I want. There was no debate or ambiguity about it because the ATT said handguns registered to that address. Then they changed it with the transport conditions to be handguns registered or restricted firearms registered to you. So now theoretically, borrowing my parents' handguns was not really covered by that, but I think someone called the CFO and they said we don't give a shit, but I don't know.
That doesn't that literally unless you get it in writing, that's what we always tell people.
I know, but
Yeah, I don't bother getting opinions, like legal opinions from the CFO, because they are often hilariously wrong.
Yeah. No. Okay. So that entire 10-minute that 5-minute conversation in the class just turned into a 15-minute conversation. Fan-fucking-tastic. I guess that completely destroys the question that I had. Question 2: Are cylinders magazines?
Not. They haven't been held to be. I'm just pulling up the actual definition of magazine now.
Now, the other thing with that, though, is revolvers are not semi-automatic. Even if a cylinder is considered a magazine, the magazine restrictions only apply to semi-automatic handguns. And a revolver is not semi-automatic based on the definition provided in the
What if it's a
SOR
Matiba? Suck my dick.
98206.
What if it's a
fuck
Matiba?
Fuck off with your Matiba horse shit. Like, nobody cares about the literal 3 semi-auto revolvers that exist on this planet.
But Matiba, though.
Yeah, fuck off. But in terms of a normal revolver, like a 686, or if
What
you're
about Webley Fosbury?
yes, fuck off. I told you there's literally 3 of them. Those are 2, and there's one from the States somewhere that no one cares about that Gun Jesus did a video on like 2 days ago. But a revolver is not semi-automatic by the definition of semi-automatic because it does not automatically do anything to prepare the next round for firing, which is what the definition of semi-automatic is as per the magazine capacity restrictions in SOR.
Wait, hold up. If that's what you're going by, technically pulling the trigger or moving the hammer on the revolver,
but it does not do that.
Cylinder.
No, but that is not done automatically. That is done by the action of you pulling the trigger.
Okay.
And then they also have cartridge magazine, which means a device or container from which ammunition may be fed into the firing chamber of a firearm. I don't think a revolver cylinder would qualify because it is the firing chamber itself.
So, 12-shot revolvers?
Yes, technically they would be legal, but you would probably have the RCMP try and tell you they're not initially, and you would have to go and cite several various points of definition in whatever that.
And if you're going to do that, why stop at 12? Make it like 300 and a big wagon wheel.
No, see,
get that chain fucking.
So the thing that I want to think about also, there is a. Let me see if I can find it. It's an absolutely moronic thing. It's
Is it the revolver that has cylinders that revolve?
No. It's a thing in the States. It's new.
Stupid thing happening in the States. You're really not narrowing it down, man.
I know. It's Carl from In Range TV. It's a stupid little pistol that he has that is basically.
Was it the S333?
Yes.
Oh, but that fires 2 rounds with one pull of the trigger, doesn't it? Which technically makes it a machine gun.
No, it fires 2 rounds. Oh god, this thing is awful.
That gun was terrible. It has 2 barrels that are indexed with 2 cylinders, and when you pull the trigger, it fires 2 rounds of 22 Magnum, and neither of them are actually stable enough to hit anything.
Yeah, see, let's see if I can get a picture of the thing open. Okay.
Wow, I've just pulled this up. This looks dumb.
It doesn't work. Number 1 and number 2, upgrade this to 12 shots. So you have 6 pulls of the trigger, but you fire 12 rounds.
So aside from the fact that by technical definition it's a machine gun in Canada, if I'm not mistaken, that would be perfectly fine.
Ian?
Yeah, no, I mean, this... This seems like one of the dumbest things, and I'm just gonna go with the I'm happy this one is prohibited just because it's such a headache otherwise, legally speaking. But
I guess technically you need a longer barrel, eh?
well, I have been tempted to order the High Point Yeet cannon and see if I can find somebody to add a Canada legal barrel to that.
If you have like a group buy going, I will buy a yeet cannon. I don't give a fuck. Find someone who's willing to do it and let me know, and I will buy one. I don't care what the fuck. It's not going to cost more than $1,000, but I'll pay like literally up to $1,000 to have one of 2 yeet cannons in Canada.
Well, the even better thing is that it becomes way more of a meme gun if you've got a yeet cannon with the Canadian legal barrels. It's way more fun.
That would be something. That would be something.
Oh man, that would
so
be
I need to find like a U.S. gunsmith who's willing to do that, and then really probably offend the guys at I Run Guns, saying I need you to bring this in for me.
I've debated whether I want to try and ask for like a Glock 26 with a like
an ultra chode barrel.
Yeah, I think someone actually found one. It was like $1,300, and I was just like, you know what? I like the meme gun stupidity, but I don't like buying a $1,300 like 6-shot Glock with a fucking barrel that's longer than my dick on it.
That's
the cell phone
barrel.
Oh, the cell phone. Yeah, that thing's hilarious.
Anyways, do we have anything else, or should we just call it for a night?
About the only thing I'm going to say is don't support Bill C-10.
Oh yeah.
Oh god, that's terrible. Yeah, all of the talking points.
Oh, Adriel, I'm still locked on me.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, all of the talking points you've been hearing on that are, or at least the ones from the Liberal Party, are basically bullshit. This will affect Canadian creators, and like a show like this, there's no way to get it certified as Canadian content. I mean, it would be very difficult. There's a whole lot of headache and paperwork and so forth. So what that means is that, actual Canadian content from small producers like yourselves, like myself, will get pushed down in favor of, major studio productions. So, yeah, it's...
We lose to Anne of Green Gables again!
Oh,
yeah.
I hate Anne.
Bitch!
The other issue is it will affect Canadian content platforms. If you're on Pornhub, which is owned by a Montreal company, you're going to find, I don't even know if Canada does porn, but Pornhub would be affected because they would not be able to have as wide of a variety of pornography unless they were to meet Canadian content standards.
I'm just picturing all the independent porn producers now having to get themselves certified as Canadian content.
But
here's the better part. There'll be a requirement for a certain amount of bilingual porn. So it'll be, closed captioning, this penis is being sucked in French, just so you know.
oh, oui.
So if I do gun reviews, I got to throw a little bit of Quebecois in there, and maybe like some tabernacs and fun that kind of thing. I'm good to go.
just every other word be tabernac. That's it. You're good.
But Canadian. In another more or less pornographic thing that people might not have heard of, Linus Tech Tips has a platform called Floatplane that's meant to be kind of like a subscription. It's meant to be like an alternative to Patreon, where established content creators can get donations from their subscriptions from their viewers and get access to directed and exclusive content through Floatplane. That is going to be affected, and other innovations like that from Canadian content creators and Canadian companies are going to be affected, because now Floatplane will be required, likely by law through the CRTC, to require 30% Canadian content, despite the fact that they're not meant to be a platform for discovering new content. They're just a platform for existing creators to engage with their audience. And so the problem is it's going to limit their expandability into international markets. It's going to limit the desire of people from foreign markets to want to get on those kinds of platforms. And it's going to basically make it impossible for any other Canadian company to innovate a platform for hosting content, because they're going to become subject to Canadian content rules that are being pushed by legacy media to try and save their failing cable industry by disingenuously categorizing content sites that are more like a library as
but
broadcasters.
but the liberals get a kickback, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
No.
they're hippie Greenpeace fucking heritage minister.
The
Fuck
other
him.
thing to consider as well is U.S. advertising pays way better than Canadian advertising. So there's a major reason why a lot of Canadian creators aim towards U.S. markets. And, so like the numbers on it are quite dramatic because U.S. advertisers have bigger pockets and they're willing to spend more. However, when you look at the CRTC rules, some of them actually have things in terms of ad overwriting. So what that also might mean is Canadian content creators may be told, listen, because you're Canadian content, the ads that run have to be Canadian ads and you will lose money, which of course means that people will just say, screw it, I'm just going to aim for the US market. Because if you're going to take like a 40% cut for, them swapping in Canadian ads for your product, why wouldn't you go and say, yeah, no, I'll just abandon Canada entirely?
Yeah,
If they want
please.
to encourage more
For me.
independent Canadian stuff, subsidize the production of the videos. Say, hey, listen, everybody who spends, $1 on a Canadian YouTube ad, we're going to chip in 30 cents.
Well,
That'll
one of
get
the-
I don't want
one
any
of the
subsidies. I
creators-
just don't want any regulation.
One of the
either.
talking
Isn't that?
points
Oh,
that
right,
they're-
right, Adriel. Taxation is theft, isn't it, Adriel?
Taxation is theft. I don't want any subsidies. I don't want any restrictions. Government can fuck right off. I don't.
One of
want
the
any
talking
it's just-
points. No, but one of the talking points the
yeah.
liberals do on this is that part of this is
Let's
getting
not. Okay,
YouTube
hold
or
up, hold up.
Netflix
Let's
or
not
whatever
go down this
to
road right
subsidize.
now. Bill C10, right? Bill C10 bad.
You'll see 10.
Bill
Yeah.
C10.
C10 bad.
Yeah.
Bill C10
We
bad.
can agree on
Okay. Okay. Bill C10 bad. I don't know when we're gonna do another one of these. It's been like 1 month ish. So next month maybe 2 months. I might have another baby, so that might not happen. So yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully by next month I'll be able to go and actually fucking shoot my new red dot handgun
No,
and tell you all
shut
how
up,
terrible
you
it was.
filthy millennial. Shut up.
Fuck off.
Okay, bye. Adriel, kill it.